All right, it is Tuesday night. We're back after a week off, and we have made it to the end of the college hockey season. Crowned a champion. Couldn't have happened to a better group of guys in Western Michigan. And to celebrate that, we have a special guest to kick off the off season. Wes, why don't you start her off with an introduction here?
Well, to really get into the pre or postseason, I just shoved my knee into my desk. That's celebratory, right? All right, joining
Yeah.
us is the first president of what has become known as the best student section in college hockey. They got their props given to them all weekend long. Michael Shotzley is their first president as an RSO. He joins us, and we're gonna get to know him a little bit and maybe some more about the Broncos and the Lunatics.
Thanks for
So,
having me.
welcome to the show, my man. So,
Man, what a weekend you guys had. I mean, well, what a couple of weeks you guys had. I was up there in Fargo for the regional final. Everybody showed out, and that place was loud on Saturday. I was shouting in my basement, but that place was loud for the Broncos.
Yeah, the first game kind of seemed a little bit split between Denver and us, but the second game, I think everybody was rooting for Western. I don't think there was a single person that was cheering for Boston in that building.
yeah, I mean, it's definitely a little bit easier trip for Western fans than it was for Boston folks. But no, I mean, a good showing out overall. I mean, tons of alum players, just students, were showing up and showing out. Everybody was mentioning it across social media. We got an alum playing right now who is on that national championship team. Tim Washi joins the Anaheim Ducks, playing Mike's Minnesota Wild, who also got an NCHC guy this week in Zeev Bouillon, but he's not playing. So, Washi joins
Yeah,
fellow Bronco Sam Colangelo, who played with the Broncos last year. Um, so, good news all around. Alex Bump just signed with Philly. A little bittersweet. This is like a real bittersweet time of the year. You're seeing guys leave, seeing guys transfer, but honestly, I think it's going to be a much easier offseason than some in the past with the fact that Western won pretty much every trophy there was to win this year except the GLI. So honestly, it's been a great season top to bottom for the Broncos and for the Lunatics. But so let's jump into it. For those who aren't in the know, what is an RSO?
so RSO is a student registered organization or registered student organization. Basically, group of students, you come together and you just create an organization, and then you say, hey, I want to join as like a official organization that is sponsored by the university.
And so what are some of the benefits of that versus when old man speak here? Back in my day, we were just a conglomerate of knuckleheads and morons who stood outside for way too long in the way too cold to go in and yell at other college students obscene words and profanities for 3 hours, for 6 hours a weekend.
So the biggest reason is we can raise money a lot easier. So we can travel places and purchase shirts that no longer get provided by the athletic department.
So,
That's the main one.
so you're no longer taking away the budget from the players. Now you have your own budget that you're trying to work through, right?
Yeah.
Um, no, and I mean it seems like the university is doing. I mean, I don't know how it is from your guys' side, but from the outside, it seems like the university really does take steps to make sure that you guys are included in a lot of things. I know Dan in his time, um,
Mhm.
and even before it was a legit RSO, Andy Murray and donors had in past years paid for playoff tickets for the students to get to uh, when Western's hosting home games, paying for Friday, Saturday, and if needed, Sunday. Like I know that's happened a couple times. And I think it even happened again this year that there was a donation made so that students didn't have to pay for the first round of NCHC playoffs, which otherwise they would have.
Yeah, they did. They did.
It was like
Usually
500.
it's a coach or something like that,
Yeah.
but I think this year it was the basketball coach.
Okay.
I
And
think Shane Klipfelt
okay, women's basketball coach.
did. Yeah.
Yeah, I know he's. I mean, he's at a lot of games. I think he very much enjoys Bronco hockey. But as we talk with Dan, like Dan also kind of makes it a point to get like everybody included and supporting each other. So, um, yeah, no, I mean, a couple big trips this year. Fargo, a good conglomerate went to the GLI again, which I mean that's a 45-minute trip. It's not like we're you know breaking renting out buses to drive up there, but a good turnout at the GLI from both students and the community. Good showing at Fargo, a good showing in
Hmm.
St. Louis. So definitely seems like it's a bit easier to get guys together, guys and gals together to show up for some of these away games. Mike, any questions for our buddy
Well,
here?
I was just gonna ask, like we talked with Dan, what's that relationship been like from your side of things? Because when we talked with him, it sounded like it was amazing. He's all for it, especially with the new arena coming up and getting the Lunatics involved. What's that relationship like from your point of view, and how much do they do for you?
Oh, it's been phenomenal. So we started the first year after COVID came back. So we had that whole season, and that season we started off by just making social media accounts, and then after that we became an RSO, and immediately the athletic department got a hold of us and was like, what can we do to help? And so they've been giving us just about everything we could ever ask for, pretty much, to get more students involved, try to get more students to games, um, just supporting us.
Then I guess kind of a follow up with that, we talked with Dan before this, but what have the conversations been like for the new arena with the Lunatics? Because I know what Dan said was you don't want to lose that whole it's insane what you guys have there. The whole one side of the ice. What have those conversations been like for how the Lunatics are going to be involved and where they're going to be located in the new arena when it eventually comes to be?
Yeah, so when I was the president, we had one meeting, and it was all of the athletic department people that are involved, and then the people that are building the arena and designing it, and then the coaches were there. So Pat was there, um, and maybe Herder was there, and they straight up asked us, because Pat was saying that he thinks students should be on the one end of the ice behind the shoot twice net, and we were all like, no, we want to stay in the middle. So they changed that and they kept us in the middle, which is where we're at right now. So that was nice to hear that they actually took that into account. And they asked us, and they also asked us, like, what kind of things would you design into the arena so that students would want to be there more? We even went through like what the outside of the building would be like. So I don't know, Mike, if you've ever been to Lawson,
Not
but
yet. I want to get there though before it
there
closes.
You got 2 seasons,
there is
buddy.
a dedicated student door that only the students go through, and we all line up from that door, and the line just goes around the building for most games. And so they have designed into the new arena basically a spot for us to line up at, and they've even made it so transportation will go straight there. So that was also part of the conversation. So it's been a great experience.
That that's awesome. I wish more schools would do that. I know up in Duluth, it's kind of figure out your own way. You have your student section door, but you can really enter in any door. And I'm a huge fan. I'm glad you guys brought it up that we want to be still in the middle because that's one of the coolest environments to see. It behind one of the nets, well, that's average. It's fine, but it doesn't really give you that whole experience where now with the student section from basically goal line to goal line, there's no reprieve for that opposing goalie. And that's a huge advantage because you guys can just heckle everybody up and down the ice. Where at, say Amsoil, you can't hear the student section if you're sitting on the other side of the ice. Hell, you can't hear them when you're sitting on the side half the time. Um, so I think that's awesome what you guys are doing there.
Yeah, I would say the biggest downside of being on the end of the ice is you're behind the tall glass. So the
Hmm.
glass blocks 90% of the noise you make anyways. So being on that long side with the short glass, most of the sound that the students make, it you can hear it. So
Hmm.
that's I think the biggest advantage of being on the side versus the end.
Oh yeah, and it makes a difference in the broadcast too. You can hear it because usually the broadcast, even though it's just the radio for you guys, it's the opposite end of the camera, so it's well heard. Wes, you have a special guest.
We have another special guest. My boy Ali's here. Uh, but I mean, to your point though, Mike, like the student section is directly under the press box. Like
Yeah.
the highest row of the Lunatics can basically touch the bottom of the floor of the press box. So yeah, every inappropriate word, every chant gets picked up extremely well. You have a very cold nose, sir, and I don't appreciate it going there. Um, but how is the relationship between the students and the team itself? Like, I mean, you hear every player talk about the atmosphere that's generated there. Uh, there seems to be, at least, you know, visually, Cam Rowe seems to be a crowd favorite, and I think he loves the Lunatics as much as the Lunatics love him. If not, maybe he likes you guys a little more.
Yeah, so um I think a lot of since I mean the team obviously you see them around campus and stuff, but having it more known who's there all the time, the players sort of pick up on who the people there that are the most and they get to know us, and so we get more interaction with them. Um so it's less of like oh, I just see that guy in the ice and I know him versus like that's my buddy, you know. So it makes you kind of want to show up for him more, and I think that they want to play harder because they know that who's in the student section, and I think that connection is something special that we got here that maybe doesn't occur other schools.
Yeah, I mean, Cam was stealing the lunatic flag there the last couple of home games and making sure it got a good wave in on the ice. Uh, and you guys, I mean, from the second Cam stepped on campus 3 years ago now, um, the Lunatics have been on his side and have cheered for him, and I'm sure he appreciates that to no end. But I mean, the Lunatics are welcoming of everybody who wears the brown and gold, right? Even Robbie Drasner, who played 4 years, had 4 years of misery in Miami, comes over, and I don't think anyone gave it a second thought. They're like, "Oh, you're wearing the brown and gold now. You're getting cheered for like everybody else." And then he goes and captures every trophy there is to capture in the NCHC and goes out on the highest of highs.
Yeah, you all that you have to do to get cheered on by the Lunatics is just have a jersey that says Broncos on the front. You're good to go. You're part of the part of the club.
And I mean, to that point too, though, I mean, we didn't give anybody a hard time who had transferred out. Like there was a couple former Broncos who came to town this year. Cole Birch, who transferred up to Ferris last year, he's since transferred again. I think he's going to Bemidji State next year. He stayed within the CCHA. Um,
Um, no, he's going to Augustana.
oh, that's right. You're right. You're right.
Yeah,
And then Jared White
Still,
with
still within the CCHA, but
yeah,
yeah.
just wrong team. And then Jared White, who came down with Alaska. But I mean, there's some places I've heard that have given dudes who've transferred a hard time. But I mean, again, I think Western does a pretty good job of, unless you're wearing number 4, Western does a pretty good job of cheering for their own guys more so than heckling the other players, unless they're either the goalie in the penalty box or the number 4.
Oh yeah, yeah. Four is a classic. That chant's been going on for forever now at this point.
Yeah, it has been a good almost 10 years with that one floating around. So
We had to ask Robbie about that too. We're like, are you happy that you're wearing 4 with the Broncos instead of with Miami? He's like, absolutely.
well, he didn't wear. I think he wore 7 with Miami.
Yeah.
So he avoided that one, but yeah,
What Wes, you hit it spot on with the Lunatics. It doesn't seem like they really care if someone transferred out or not. And some people, it's you see it in pro sports all the time, right? Like even if guys are traded, if they didn't ask for it, they get heckled and booed for going somewhere else. Transfer portal, that's their choosing. But I think Bronco fans do it right. They just don't care. It's like, okay, well, thanks for your time here. We're gonna hate you no matter what because you're the opposition. It's not because you transferred or whatever. We're gonna boo you the same amount. We're not gonna do anything else. Um, but there's no quote unquote special treatment for the other players. Like if Isaac Howard were to come back to UMD and play against the Bulldogs
I
from
believe I
Michigan
believe
State,
that's Hobie Baker winner, Isaac
uh,
Howard.
Yeah.
you know what? You
I only say that because he literally transferred from Minnesota Duluth.
I know why you said it. But if he were to come back, me personally, I wouldn't do that, but I don't think our fans would treat it the same. But then again, we'd have to get fans to show up. But he did the right thing. So what? I don't care. I also do think though it's becoming more normal for people to transfer out, especially in other sports other than hockey. But you look at there's 200 and some kids in the transfer portal now within college hockey. It's not that surprising if kids are like, we're going somewhere else.
Yeah, and I think it's more special like with smaller programs because you get to know the guys more and it's like you see him more as a person versus just a player that left your team. So like when you
Mhm.
look at like an NHL team, I mean, you don't personally know any of the guys on that team for the most part. So when somebody leaves, it's like, well, screw you. Why did you leave my team? Versus that's just my buddy and he's just trying to do what's right for him. If like we got Ethan Phillips right now or Ethan Walters just went in the portal. He he's doing what he's got to do to try and make a better career for himself in hockey and that's I mean that's good for him. I don't see why you would want to hate on him for doing that.
Yeah, I mean he's a junior. I mean he just finished his junior season. He's trying to find playing time. There hasn't been a whole lot for him here at Western, but he did stick it out for a while. So I mean, good on him for that one, and hopefully he lands somewhere and gets the playing time because I mean he's been a good player when he's on the ice. So they're just it's ice is hard to come by at Western because you got guys who are figuring out how to play in the system and blowing up and hitting career highs. And if they don't slump, you're not going to get a spot. And especially this year, I mean, you look at this year, one player really had an injury problem, and that was for maybe a couple weeks. So it wasn't like guys were getting booted out of the lineup for play. I mean, everybody just played extremely well, and we didn't have a whole lot of injuries go around. They had, like I said, the one player and then one weekend of illness that wiped out the whole team anyway. So it wasn't even like every reserve got played against Arizona State.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say too, circling back on that with your buddies, like you said, Mike. There's, I can't say specifically about UMD because I went to the school about a mile down the road, but there never really seemed like there was that camaraderie between the students and the players where if they would come out on a Saturday night after the game, they're treated like gods and they're put on a pedestal instead of just your classmates because there's a just a certain thing, especially when in the run that they went on at the end of the 2010s. Western seems, even though it's probably a similar size school, it just seems like there's that camaraderie between the students. Well, the non-players and the players. That's the best way to say it. Uh, and I think that helps. And like you were saying, if guys transfer, well, it's your buddy. You want to go there. And but the players also get it. Where at UMD, I think the players are a little bit more. They're treated differently. And I've known a couple guys that have played there. They're just treated differently than they are at Western, I think.
Some
I think it has more to do with the way that the school and the Kalamazoo community sort of relate to each other. Like Kalamazoo is not the largest of cities
Hmm.
compared to like a East Lansing or like St. Paul where Minnesota's at, or well Minneapolis or St. Paul. I don't
It's
how
technically
that
in both.
yeah, but or like Wisconsin, they're in Madison. It's a much smaller community, so everybody knows everyone. And
Hmm.
so when you're in a class of a size of only 20 people, I mean, you're gonna know, hey, that's Tim Washy there, and and they're more than willing to talk to you, or they if you're constantly going to games, they tend to recognize you more, and they're more than willing to have a conversation with you. So you get to know them a little bit better than, oh, they just have classes with their teammates and they only room with their teammates and they only eat with other athletes. So I mean, we all use the same dining halls, the same dorms.
Hmm.
The apartments are all right next to each other, so it's not like they're away from the normal students.
Well, then
And
you look at the two universities too, and Western's a full D1, was D1A1 or whatever university. You get the football program, both
mhm.
basketball programs, volleyball. I mean, the number of athletes here that exist and are playing D1 sports and getting looked at. Like, I mean, again, football is the king of sports in America. So the football players are there, but it's not all on the hockey team like it is at a Duluth or a St. Cloud State or a North Dakota, where they're going to be put on that pedestal because that's the sport that brings in their money, and where they put their effort into it. Like Western's always kind of been a school that has a football team and they're in a mid-major conference, so that they're generating funds through that sport. But if you look at really the sports they've been competitive in, it was going to be hockey was going to be one where they could get a national title. Soccer could have been one where they got one first. Um, Volleyball was really close the last couple of years. Some gymnastics athletes have been close a couple of years here. Um, so it's a much more diverse athletic university too. I think plays a role in it. You're not putting all your eggs in one basket and pushing that sport like you see with North Dakota and hockey there.
Yeah, and I mean it to go back to the point of the athletes being separated, University of Minnesota, my dad, when this kid was in seventh grade, he coached him for a year. He's now playing for the Gophers for basketball. They have their own athletic village that they live, and they have specific dorms that they live in with other athletes. I don't think UMD has that, but at the same time, like I said, I didn't go to the school actually, but it seems like the hockey players are a little more closed off. The other side of that, though, is Hunter Shepard. his freshman year when he wasn't really playing. He played club hockey with my brother. He definitely should not have been playing club hockey. But now here he is. He's chill like all the other guys that we've had on from Western. And here he is as the backup goalie for Ovi's 895. Like those are guys that are awesome. I just think Kalamazoo has a different attitude towards the players than we do in northern Minnesota. And we're almost like Matt Niskanen, I've seen him a whole bunch, but there's that aura around him. Like, I don't want to bother him. He played in the NHL. He played with Crosby. He fought Crosby. He played with Ovi. He played with the Stars. You don't want to bother him, so we don't really interact with him. Where in Kalamazoo, I think you guys are more open to it and just like, hey, bud, what's up?
Oh yeah. I mean, the number of times that I've gone to the store and you're just walking down the aisle and there's one of the guys and there's that little nod like I know you and you nod back and you're like I know you back and so that's I think that's the coolest part about a program like Westerns.
Yeah, I really do think that's a huge part of everything because I don't even know if so one of my old roommates, his family has season tickets at UMD and ran into them in St. Paul for the Frozen Face Off. I don't know if any of the guys would recognize them if they walked or have any sort of interaction like that in the store. If they saw them at Target or whatever, just like, hey, how's it going? I just don't get that from many programs. Like I've gotten it from Western.
I mean I've also ran into like coaches in the store and they know everybody, you know. So it's not just the athletes, it's the coaches, it's um the administrators. Like if I look, let's say you're like going to Michigan, how often are you going to see Ward Manuel walking around town? But
Mhm.
Dan Bartholomew is everywhere. He he's a normal person just like you and me. So I think that's it's more like a small community type feel and everybody knows everyone versus big city type school.
Yeah, I mean Duluth, I think the population is about 80,000, but it also is a huge region of northern Minnesota that they cover. It was funny. I know Dan had said, "Well, if you see me in St. Paul, come say hi." Well, he was up in a suite in Fargo. I'm walking around trying to find him, and then I found him, and he was getting ready to go yell at ESPN because the stream was down. I'm like, "All right, so." I'm 1 for 3 here. The first time I met you, you fired your football coach. Second time was great. Now this time you're going to yell at ESPN. I just need to not meet you anymore because apparently it's a bad day every time I meet you.
Well, you could have gone to St. Louis and try to find him on during one of the weekdays because he was yelling at the ice crew for screwing up the logo at in the middle of the ice there.
Uh, Dan is such a beauty. He's so great. And I mean, he took the time, he talked with me, and I'm like, "Hey Dan, my girl, hey, great to meet you in person." Just the high energy, such a good dude as far as the PR and stuff goes. But I'm like, all right, well, enjoy yelling at ESPN and taking on them.
I mean, that dude fights for everything that he gets for sure. And there is a bunch of people talking about like, why are you making it that big of a deal that it's the wrong logo or whatever? And like, it's a matter of taking pride in it, right? Like, it's a matter of like making sure it's done the right way, that you're representing the university the right way, that you're not letting things like that go because it's such a big stage and you're there for the first time and you deserve to be there. You've earned the right to be there. And the whole freaking that whole thing with the branding and the logo change has been such a mess since before Dan was even really here because I think it started under Kathy. at the end of her tenure, and it's just been a mess the whole time. But no, he takes pride in those things, and I think it's good that he does, and that he'll go and fight for making sure that the people at home get the best product they can if they're not able to be physically at some of these games. And I mean, he does a great job of trying to make sure that the people who can at least figure out a way to get there, if they're students, like, can get to the game too, and they're not just in the city hanging out at a bar watching the game. Like, they're physically getting their lifetime moment and being able to say, like, I was at Enterprise Arena when Western lifted their first national title in anything other than men's cross country in 60 years.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I
that
think
was well, I just to reiterate on that, I mean, Dan somehow got all the tickets paid for students to go to the Frozen Four. So that was big.
I
And I
mean,
saw on Twitter with some of the other schools, it was like, well, we didn't get free tickets. Well, sorry, your athletic department doesn't care enough to have you at the game. I don't know what to tell you. Pick about our school, you know?
and I mean, and he's done that in kind of in increments. I mean, it was if you could get to St. Paul the one year. I think it was the one year they made it to the finals. There, he was going to pay for
that
students.
you lost.
Yeah, shut up.
Was at that game.
He was
was,
gonna.
So was I.
He paid for students tickets. I think that whole weekend, right, Mike? Like, he paid for the semifinals against North Dakota, and then for the finals against Duluth as well.
yeah.
Then I think the next year, it was, if you got to the regional, they would find a way to get you a ticket to the regional that Western played. And granted, they didn't have luck at that regional either, but. And then this year it was, if you got to Fargo, make sure you let us know, and we're going to try and find a seat for you at Fargo. And then Western wins the regional, and it was, if you can get to St. Louis, we're going to find a way to accommodate as many students as we can. And I think they end up accounting for 100 student tickets to the Frozen final.
I think it was a little bit more than 100. The number I heard was 200, but
200 seems more likely from
could be
what I
off.
saw.
I mean, the only one I saw was like 100 or something, but I know he didn't specifically say a number. He just said that they were able to accommodate all of the student requests that they had, and while that may not be true in the future, they were able to do it this time, and they'll still try and look for ways of doing things like that in the future if Western's as successful as they've been this year.
Yeah.
And I think I was gonna say, a lot of these programs for hockey, even the teams out east, like a BU or a Harvard or a Quinnipiac, this is their big shining moment. Western, I had only heard of them because of the one successful year that PJ Fleck had for football, and then he came over here to Minnesota, and then they end up joining the conference. You don't really hear about these schools. And there was one year, I can't remember if it was 2019 in the national title game or if it was some other Frozen face-off. They had this on the screen for UMD. It was Minnesota University in Duluth, or it was just completely embarrassing how they screwed up the name of the school.
Oh, was it, Mike?
How's that new logo for Duluth?
We had a conversation. That's only for academics.
Yeah, that's how it starts. That's how it starts.
That's how it starts, man.
The circle W is
MD.
The circle W is only for the education side of it.
Like, nobody fought for the naming of the school, and that where you guys have Dan, who will make sure it's right, because you said that is your shining moment. These schools, they're not recognized for anything else. You're not Alabama, you're not Michigan, you're not LSU or UCLA, who cares, whatever, these big schools. Make sure it's done right. I don't think a lot of programs have people that care as much as Dan does, and your whole athletic department in general.
Well, yeah. So, I don't know if you guys did any research on Dan, but he came from Oregon State,
Mhm.
and I mean, you see that beaver logo, you know it everywhere. I mean, that beaver logo is iconic, and I think that was one of the first things he was like, we got to figure out what our official logo is going to be for athletics at Western Michigan, and then that's the logo, and that's all we're using, and we got to make sure that everybody knows that that's Western Michigan, and it's nobody else, and we're not getting confused with, as ESPN would call us, the Mustangs.
Oh god, that
Dude, you
hurt
also
me
know,
so much.
dude, you realize how many times fucking Buccigrass called Constantini Constantino?
Yeah.
Like 8 times on the weekend.
But they're the experts. They know
Oh
everything.
yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
They're the worldwide leader in sports.
And then literally every call that Buccigrass had like referenced Western 10 to 15 years ago. And don't get me wrong,
Oh.
I thought it was, you know, nice that he was throwing back to literally Ferschweiler's days as an associate coach or an assistant coach under Jeff Blashill and Andy Murray the first time with the no bad days thing referencing Rob Facca's son Louie. But at the same time, it's like, bro, that's 15 years ago. That dude hasn't been a part of the university in 10 years, 11 years. I
Oh, and
mean,
then
he
they
moved.
have
He went to
Colby
become
Cohen.
yeah, Lord. But Facca went on to become a scout for the Chicago Blackhawks, and I mean, he may have even moved on from that job at this point. But great dude. I mean, Louis was, again, old man stages. Back in my day, Louis was like a honorary lunatic and mascot of the student section just as much as anybody else was, and the stuff that the program did for his family and stuff was certainly memorable back then. So it was cool that they got that shout out, but at the same time, it's like, dude, you gotta know these schools. And by the time the Frozen Four come around, there's 4 schools. You can't spend a day, and you have a week in between. You can't figure out a day to figure out who or what you're talking about. Ask questions,
Yeah. And then like
or
I brought up
figure out that I
Colby.
don't know, maybe Kalamazoo is not in the Upper Peninsula.
Oh, I mean, all Colby does is sits there and relishes his game-winning goal. I'm like, you played like 5 games in the NHL,
So
and nobody knows your name except for these 2 days.
this
You
one
have
time
2 days
in
that
2009,
nobody.
I scored a goal against Miami and won a national title.
It was so funny. I was even messaging with Tom about this. He's like, I can't wait for the day that Colby's goal just runs out of juice that nobody cares. I'm like, nobody cares now.
We've hit that point. You could tell as that game went on. I mean, Mike, I think you were at the game, so you wouldn't know this, but as that game went on, you could just feel him seething as his team is just getting beat down more and more, especially in the third period as Western opens that lead.
It was
Oh.
so much fun. They were just like the commentary excitement level from both Butchie and Colby was just because well, Butchie, he's East Coast bias all the way. And I mean, yeah, we have I'm saying this in a certain sense, West Coast bias, just because Western Michigan, I consider you part of the West. Uh, but they're so hard for those East Coast teams.
Well, that
And as soon as they start getting beaten down, it's like, oh wow, this is amazing, but this really sucks. Like, it's not a surprise to us because we actually pay attention.
yeah, and I mean, and it was Colby's former team. He's an alum
Mm-hmm.
of BU, so of
Mm-hmm.
course he was pulling for BU. But it's like you look at like Alex. I can't remember. I can never remember his last name. Uh,
Oh,
on CBS
North
Sports.
Dakota.
Heinert.
Yeah,
I think it's spelled like
I think
Heinert,
it's
but I
something like
don't.
that.
Something like that. I don't mean to butcher his name, and I do apologize. But that dude calls every goal on CBS Sports Network the exact same way, whether North Dakota's the featured team or not. And you wouldn't know that he's the general caller or TV guy for North Dakota on Midco Sports when they're not doing CBS Sports games. Like his goal call is up there with some of the better ones. And then they under and ESPN could do a much better job if they would just use some of these smaller broadcasting teams when they get into tournaments and get the local guys to come on and talk about their teams. Or if you have like, I don't know, an all NCHC semifinal, maybe find the NCHC broadcasters from CBS Sports Network. So Dave Starman, Alex Heiner, Shireen Starman, and get them to cover that game so the announcers know who and what they're talking about.
Or I mean, they could have not screwed up in the first place when they got rid of Starman.
Yeah.
Because he was part of the broadcast team. And it's like, this dude actually knows about all of college hockey. It's not just NCHC. It's not just Atlantic hockey. He actually pays attention to it instead of Butchergrass putting out, well, let me look at the rankings. Well, these are my rankings. I just switched 7 and 8. Buddy, you haven't watched a single game.
He's checking menus for chicken parm in every city.
I he's one guy. Used to love him. Now I can't stand him. I'm butchied out. But he's making that money. I gotta give him credit. That college hockey merch, he's making money off of it. So good for him.
Yeah.
I don't have any. Never will. Unless I win it with the OT challenge.
I mean, it's pretty easy to tell if you follow college hockey and you watch games and you listen to them on the radio that Western games sound different. And the boys from ECH, Everything College Hockey, have been on campus a couple of times and they love coming here. James was at the Frozen Four wearing Western gear, clearly pulling for the Broncos. How do you guys feel about the attention you get? Do you think that Western in general or the Lunatics deserve more? And when you see you guys kind of talk about it without having come to Lawson or having experienced it firsthand, other than at the Frozen Four, like, what are your guys' feelings about that?
So actually, that's the main reason why we kind of started where we did. So the first thing we did was we just started with social media because like nope, not a whole lot of people when you ask like outside of the NCHC or like the old CCHA would actually know about Westerns. We were like, let's just get some social medias going and just sort of showcase the student section and the team and try and get more of an internet presence. And then it slowly caught on. More people heard about us. So I think that's the coolest thing. Like if we didn't start the Instagram or the Twitter, I don't think ECH even shows up to Lawson, you know? So I think that's the biggest thing that we did.
Yeah, and I mean those dudes, what they've done for college hockey is pretty incredible. I mean the ability to pay attention to what 64 Division 1 teams, and I mean they go 64 Division 1 men's teams, let's be clear, because they literally are everything college hockey. They talk about the men's side, the women's side, club, like
D3.
D3,
They
like
talk about D3.
the attention that those dudes put into it and try and put on their programs and their pods and everything is like they do a great job. And they're kind of, Mike and I are the special version of what they're doing because I don't have the attention span for 64 men's teams, let alone all the others. And it's big kudos to them. But I think sometimes it's the small guys too who can make an impact, and you see that from the groundswell that the Lunatics have come. Do you know how many followers you guys have across social media at the moment between Instagram, Twitter, and I think TikTok is where you guys are also at?
Yeah, I know our Instagram just went across 4,000, so we got what 4,100 something on Instagram. Twitter is around 1,400, I think. It was like 12. I think we've gained a few since we hosted a nice trophy.
And since you guys got called out for
Yeah.
not being not showing up, and then
Well, that was
there's the
really more his
apology.
mistake, yeah,
Yeah.
than it was the Lunatics not actually showing up.
Oh no, I know, but people were like, "What?"
And then TikTok, I think, is close to 1,000. So we're looking, 8,000 ish, 7,000, something like that.
Cool. Our other guest is actually on his way into the current president. Should be joining us here momentarily. He was at dinner. There was a miscommunication. It's probably mostly my fault, but
I'm just curious, who's eating dinner at 9 p.m.?
Don't worry about it. Very important people.
When you work in athletics, you eat when you get done. Unfortunately.
I mean, I guess really the only spot that you guys are missing is YouTube. And I mean, there's been some discussion amongst at least a small group of people of trying to do something there too. So,
I have one favor that I just thought of. Can you please make a TikTok with Wes in his face paint doing some like stupid dance for the Broncos, because that would make me really happy.
no,
I don't know if Wes will do a dance.
Wes will not do it.
I will happily pay for that, just so like my own entertainment.
No, Wes does not dance.
We'll get a TikTok with Wes and Buster Bronco hugging, because I know how much those two love each other.
Buster loves me, I think, more than I love Buster. Let's be fair. All right, here he is. Can you hear us?
Yeah, there he was connecting to the audio.
Oh, connecting again. We're trying. We're working through it. Things are happening.
Troubleshooting.
Oh. He can. I think he can hear us, but we can't hear him.
I need this sign from Letterkenny, from Coach on the golf course. Just fucking embarrassing right now, and holding that up.
Well, I used to have one that said emotional damage.
A lot of beers have been consumed by that corner of the show. Okay, since Saturday. I mean, he was drinking them off hats on ESPN. Okay, let's give the man a break here.
Well, yeah, he's sitting there thinking he's a hot shot because he's on Spittin' Chicklets and ESPN and everything like this. He's too good for us now.
At least he kept the beer out of his shoe. That's never a
good idea.
That
is true.
You're going to end up with something if you drink beer out of a shoe. I hope that dude survived.
I hope it was his shoe.
I believe that was a former Bronco hockey player.
I don't know. I've seen other things.
Too.
No audio there, buddy. Oh, and now you're muted. Go to your settings. Microphones.
I'm almost there.
Hey!
Oh! I'm so sorry. My computer's mic doesn't work.
No, you're good. You're good.
Like I have to get to the AirPods, and I have to like select AirPods mic. It's a pain in the ass.
Anyway, is it that, or is it because you're 0.2 right now?
0.2.
Drinking, buddy.
Blood alcohol content.
No, I'm not. I didn't have any beers. No.
Today.
Within the last 5 minutes.
No.
How about beers in the last 24 hours?
You're sober.
Team knows that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we burnt a couch at Hockey House last night, and
another one.
We burnt the tree pretty bad too. They might have to cut it down.
You guys are terrorists, eco-terrorists, just polluting the world both with your flaming composite material of couch leathers and destroying oxygen-producing trees.
We also produce sound pollution too. So,
well, yeah, I mean, who doesn't?
Yeah, I got a couple stories, so I can't really criticize.
But no, how's the feeling amongst the boys over there?
It's amazing. Yeah, we brought over a couple cases of beer, and the guys were just loving it. There's some cigars, so. And the trophy was out. The fire department came over, and they got picked with the trophy. I got a couple pictures. I don't know what can go on the internet.
The trophy did not sustain any burn marks, right? Just trees.
No, trophy's good.
Okay, good. Because I don't know if you guys know this or not, but there may have been a team who won a little thing called the GLI, and the trophy did not make it back to campus in one piece. So they were a little aggressive with it.
Who was that?
This was about 10 years ago.
Okay.
So no one from the current team. I think it was the year they won it at Comerica Park, the old Mason Cup. Or no,
that's all right. The Stanley Cup ended up at the bottom of a lake, the
Stanley Cup also got left on the side of the road. So as long as everything makes it back to where it's supposed to, we're okay.
Yeah. There's a lot of stories about
it. Almost got stolen from Goat, actually.
Well, it's because you took it to the Goat.
Well, no. Yeah. There's some girls that tried to take it out of Goat.
Apparently, they really wanted the hockey players to come back over to their place.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one way to get the team over.
It is just the audacity. If you didn't win it, you can't touch it. Who's letting people touch things?
I don't know how did Wheeler get his hands on that? That was that was something.
So let's see what you're the new president, or this year's president of the Lost and Lunatics, took over from Mike there. How was the transition of power? Was it nice and peaceful?
It was pretty good.
It's a political joke.
No, so we got into a boxing ring and we started punching each other.
You guys should.
I think you should still be president then. But he does got that reach. I mean, for those who don't know, Jackson's a tall sumbitch.
Just look him up online. He's famous.
The dude is blocking views of at least 4 rows behind him at Lost Games. And then he carries a flag too, like just the biggest dick in the crowd.
He wears a cowboy hat.
It's signed now. It's signed.
There you go. You gotta get a new one for next year now.
Yeah, Mike, you should have just challenged him to a duel and had like the flintlock pistols. See what happened.
I'm honestly surprised that flag has survived Cam Rose waving, because he is aggressive with that sumbitch.
Yeah, he was the one who got signed by everybody. Shout out Cam Rose. He's been great friend of mine.
That's what we were talking to Mike about earlier. I was like, I think of everybody, he's one, like, seems to be the biggest fan favorite, and 2, he seems to love the Lunatics more 100%. Than maybe even the Lunatics love him.
Yeah. When he was at GOAT on Sunday, you could tell he was just really emotional. Like, I don't want to leave. I'm not ready. This is, yeah.
I mean, he's got some pro hockey to play for sure.
Oh yeah. He are we on the record here?
Yeah, we're still going live.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So
he told me some plans of his, but
don't spread news that's not yours to share.
Right.
So what year are you, Jackson?
I'm a senior. I graduated in December.
Okay, so you're gonna be passing the reins here.
Yeah,
to the Lunatics.
Son of a bitch.
Gotta figure out the chain of command there, but it goes up to a vote. So,
well, I was just wondering, like, if you were a little bit longer running or running for a second term or whatever the case may be, how you would see the transition going from Lost into the new arena, because I mean that's going to be something that at some point that's going to be something that the president of the Lunatics has to look at and try and figure out how to keep that atmosphere, because I mean the hockey team is making a big effort to try and the athletic department as a whole is trying to make sure that goes over there, right? Like that stays a part of what makes Western hockey great and Western hockey.
Yeah, we got a good group of freshmen who came in this year, who really wanted to get involved. So I'm really excited for that. I know they can take over when it's time. I've talked to Dan. I just kind of hint at, I would love to do some sort of MC or hype man type of job at the new arena. And he said, we'll see. And Dan's great. So I know he'd be looking out for me. He actually gave me this hat on the ice. He threw it over the boards to me. So
Well, did
yeah,
he throw it
work.
to you, or did you just
Yes,
happen to
yes,
be
to
able
me.
to reach over
Did he
everyone's
point
head?
out and
And
like blow
you're
you a kiss and say, "This is yours"?
You're the type of dude who steals pucks from children because they're at your ankles, and you're
No,
like,
no,
I've
no.
already caught it
I
at the
got-
top of the glass. Get out of here, kid.
I got puck signed by Alex Bump for my little cousin, so I'm not the type of guy to steal pucks from little kids.
No, I'm just saying you got that height advantage. You're just like, oh, you're throwing T-shirts? Yeah, let me just. Oh, yeah, that's mine now. Thank you. You've touched my elbow. Get out of here. Get out of here, little one.
Side note: Timmy's had 2 really good chances on his shift.
Yeah, he was carrying the puck there a while ago.
Yeah, I unfortunately cannot watch the game now because ESPN's app has decided to commit.
It's done ESPN things.
Yes.
But I don't use that. I didn't say that out loud.
Well, you also live in Minnesota, so it's a local game for you.
The sports channel is completely
you could probably open your window and hear them.
How big do you think Minnesota is? Like 2 square miles?
I don't
know. How long does it take you to go from one end of Minnesota to the other?
About 7. Actually, about 9 hours if you're going north to south.
Oh,
Minnesota's freaking huge, dude.
We live more north than 90% of Canada, at least where I grew up. Like where I grew up, I did this. We're north of Buffalo, New York, north of Toronto, north of all those cities.
Where in Minnesota are you?
Currently, I live just north of the Twin Cities, but I grew up an hour north of Duluth.
Oh, is that a Sam Colangelo goal? Wow. Is that a Sam Colangelo goal?
Sam Colangelo goal, yeah.
I think it is.
Yeah.
That boy,
Bronco
Sammy.
alumni.
I'm not happy with you right now because we don't need you to win.
That is a Sammy goal.
I'm happy for you, but why?
What a beauty. That dude's a great dude.
Nice pass to him too.
Tim playing.
This is
Tim pass.
This is payback for.
They're on different lines.
This is payback for the Fanti game.
I believe they started on the same line.
No, they had they were Sam on the second line and Tim on the third or the fourth.
I think I was looking at daily faceoff. I think Timmy was on the fourth.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, Tim's had some decent play.
How many faceoff wins? Gotta be 100 right now, right?
Hey, don't let Mav Puck watch him take faceoffs in the NHL.
Yeah. I had to make a comment.
A stroke.
Dude, can we like just take a moment and recognize that, like, for whatever was up their craw that day, and they have been trying to paint him as a dirty picture for every broadcaster over the Frozen Four weekend was like drooling over the way Tim Washi wins faceoffs. Yeah. And it's why the Ducks signed him, was because they were struggling on the faceoff dot and they were hoping to boost that stat.
Can we raise our hands if you've been blocked by Mav Puck?
I don't care enough to comment on their stuff on Twitter, so
yeah, I mean, me either.
I think it took me about three tweets. Oof. And then they blocked me, and they weren't even bad. I'm just kind of like,
I don't think I've been blocked by anybody. Dan got blocked.
He's on Twitter. He's an avid follower of the pod. So Paul stopped by. He said congratulations and enjoy the party. That party's gonna go on for sure. At this time of year, guys are leaving, guys are signing pro deals. How's that feel for you, Jackson? I mean, you've gotten to know the team pretty well here. How you handling the guys leaving?
It's certainly emotional. I've gotten to know Alex Bump pretty well over the past year and a half. So seeing him sign the contract, I sent him a text and I said, I know you're going to do great. I hope to get out to one of your games soon. Like Ryan McAllister, I don't think they're leaving early. It's just I wanted to see more of them. So it's definitely exciting to watch, but it's also hard because it's like you see the team slowly losing the core guys, and
I think McAllister left early.
Yeah. Wes and I we were talking about this earlier. And we also think if Torts was still the coach in Philly, Alex doesn't go there. And that's just us speculating, but I wouldn't want to play for
I
Torts.
agree.
I don't think anybody wants to play for Torts, but teams keep hiring him. McAllister, he needed one more year of seasoning. And it's not a knock on him because he was a phenomenal player. It's just he needed to get a little bigger and stronger before he left.
You know who I think needed another year? Another guy, probably one of the first hockey players I got to know was Dylan Went. Great guy too. I really wanted to see him do another year because he was a leading point and goal scorer.
He
His
would have been if he was returning, I think.
No, I'm talking about his last year. I think he led one of the stats.
Yeah, I think it was goals.
Goals. I could have seen him and Bump.
I'm not sure because
good line.
Because Colangelo snuck up on at the end of the season and like caught somebody.
Mm-hmm. But that's the hard part about any team that you follow is guys are doing what they think is best for them, even if
100%, yeah.
You can see it on the other side, like Scotty Perunovich right now. I think he probably could have used another year before he signed with St. Louis because he still needed to get bigger. I've known him since he was, I don't know, 7 years old or whatever, probably older than that. But I remember him when his tennis racket was bigger than he was. He could have been bigger. Now he's hurt all the time in pros. Adam Johnson was another one from UMD where it's like, maybe another year would have helped you. But he left after the 2017 national championship, I believe, and had his cup of coffee in the NHL, but never really moved like he had when he was there. So it's interesting to see from the outsider's perspective, guys, what you think they should do versus what they think they should do, and nobody can make that choice for them. But I don't know. Wes and I are pretty good right now at speculating
When finished
what's going to happen.
To Colangelo. Colangelo caught him and passed him. It was 24 for Sam, 23 for Dylan. Also, he ghosted me. He was supposed to be on the pod last summer. Had to go play pro hockey and ghosted me. Oh, jerk.
Yeah, not the first time we've been ghosted.
Yeah, it won't be the last either. What do you guys think of the little locker room vids that the team's been putting out?
Oh, I love it. I think it really gets a little bit better of a face to a name. Like even myself, it takes a little bit to get to know, okay, that player's this person, that player's this person, because once they take off their numbers and helmets, it does get difficult. Look at the Slukinskis. They're pretty, they look pretty similar. Obviously they're brothers. But yeah, I do like seeing their personality behind the players.
I had a hard time recognizing Tim after he shaved off all of his facial hair for the Ducks.
Dude, okay. Yeah. I don't know if you guys know this, but under Murray, it was almost like the Yankees rule. Like, no facial hair allowed. I think maybe they did. One player was allowed to during like November, no shave.
It's funny in the picture behind you, which I think was during the Andy Murray era.
It is.
We got, who was that? Will Massey.
Will the Thrill before he was a goalie coach. He
looks like he's got some facial hair. The guy on the other end, I can't remember his name. He doesn't have, he has facial hair.
Trevor?
Yeah, Trevor.
They got some spread. They got some stubble, but that was not really on the up and up. In fact, there may have been a little revolt caused by this fella right here. His silent protest was to grow out some facial hair to get some attention from old coach.
If you want stories, talk with that guy.
Trevor Gorsuch is a beauty. I've heard Will has some stories too. He just doesn't know how to read his.
And Will works
Twitter
with
messages.
The team now, right?
Yeah, he's the goalie coach, or assistant goalie coach, or volunteer goalie coach.
I talked to him yesterday, so
I mean, he looked me like dead in the face on Sunday, and I was like, I think there was a moment of him recognizing me from his playing days. And I just wanted to be like, check your goddamn messages, sir. And then I didn't because he was clearly not in the the mind frame to remember said conversation. But no, dude, there's one video. What one was it? Them trying to figure out how to get the stick behind them without taking their hands off the stick. One of the best TikTok, Instagram, Twitter videos that you will see. And the one dude who decides to jump and just straight to the face. So good.
I like the video where they try to draw the Bronco logo.
Oh, yep.
And I forget whose Bronco it was, but now whenever a player will swear on the video, they'll put that Bronco drawing over their mouth, so you can't know what the mouth.
I like the guys who are trying to like find something with the Bronco on it to draw it.
Yeah.
And then I think Michaels just draws a W and he's like, there it is. Walks off.
But those guys, those videos, they're super fun, and you can just tell that those guys enjoyed playing with each other.
It shows how relaxed that room was, and how relaxed the coaching staff is to like let that be a thing.
Yeah.
You know, like there's some coaches I don't think either they're so old school or they want to be controlling of everything that I don't think they let guys do it. But no, dude, they were having fun all year and it showed on the ice, and that's part of the reason why I think they only lost 4 games in regulation.
Yeah, I remember I was at Waldo's with some of the players. I forgot who I was talking to, but we asked him who their glue guy was. The ECH glue guy, and he said there is none. We're just all close. There's no distinct person that's really leading the charge.
I think Camero is a glue guy.
Yeah, I think Camero is definitely the glue guy if you had to pick one. But
I think what he did as far as a leader without wearing a letter this year.
I would have loved to see him wear a letter. It's a shame. It's a shame they don't give it to goalies.
They should have just put one on his mask like Roberto Luongo did. Just have it painted on the front.
They could give it to goalies in college, right?
I think they can, but
yeah, they can.
Quinnipiac has one.
I mean, they can technically give it to whoever they wanted to in the NHL too. They just can't fulfill the responsibilities of skating. Or no, they can't give it to goalies anymore. Yeah, but like Luongo was the last one who was essentially a captain because they can't skate out, and because they were thinking like coaches are going to give it to the goalie for the sake of using it as an extra timeout if they want a conversation with the ref. They're just like, hey, go. Oh, let me just skate on out to the ref and skate on back to my net. So
yeah. I don't know if Luongo ever wore an actual physical letter.
No, he had it painted on the front of on like the chin of his mask.
Which is so on par for him. Like
well, the C didn't stand for captain when he was playing for the Canucks. It stood for Canucks, obviously.
But no, dude,
they should have had a show between Luongo, Brizgalov, and Bobrovsky, and just made that a reality show.
I think be great. Was it the year? Oh fuck! Henrik retired. He was like, "Hey, you want to start a pod? 2 goalies, no cup." Like he's so good.
It's if I were a Canucks fan, I would not like to see that.
Well, I mean, he played with the Canucks and then he went and played with Florida for forever, and the guy just didn't win a championship. And what are you gonna do about it?
Who was the goalie that left and then came back, and he basically tweeted out, he's like, "Oh yeah, he had to go take a shit."
I don't remember.
It was something in the playoffs, and he's just like live tweeting. And you're like, "Why are you so funny? This is so stupid, but it's so funny."
But how do you guys see this national title? How do you think it ranks amongst even other teams who've won their first? Like, how big of a deal is this? 1 for Western, and 2, like you look at the guys who are on this team that won it, and like really look at their stories and realize like this was a team in every sense of the word. Right? Like, so, okay. You've got Cam, who wins the Big Ten as a freshman, ends up having coaching trouble or whatever his sophomore year. He jumps in the portal, happens to find a spot at Western because Western loses 3 goalies. They lose Brandon Bussey to the pro. They lose their backups to the transfer portal. In comes Cam Rowe and Kirk Larson from Miami, right?
Mm-hmm.
They battle for the net. Cam takes it over. They struggle. They win a GLI his first year. Bumped in the first round of the NCAA tournament. I think that's also the year they got swept by Colorado College in the playoffs. Shut up.
It was also the year that we played BU in the first game of the
played Ethan Phillips in BU in the first round.
Yeah.
Then you get
we got revenge on them.
I mean, Jason Poland has a ridiculous year, right? Scores 30 goals, including the sick one in that regional game against BU. McAllister comes in, has one incredible year, dishing the puck to anyone and everyone. But there's big name dudes on those teams, right? And then the next year you get Sam Colangelo transfers in from Northeastern. Ethan Phillips transfers in from BU. Granger's a senior. He wears the captain title. Again, the team plays decent. I mean, I think it was a little bit of a down-ish year. They weren't, third? And I think they were a little bit lower in the NCHC. Yeah, because we went to St. Cloud State.
5 or 6.
Can't win an overtime game to save our lives. Bump technically transfers in because of coaching change at Vermont. So he changes
transfers.
Yeah. Well, he was committed, and I think at Vermont, he might have been there for summer practice or whatever before the coaching change.
Yeah.
So he's a late addition to Western. Again, I mean, they play Michigan State so tough in the regional.
Here's my question for Wes. Anyone, do you think Bumpway had similar success at Vermont? Personal success. I don't think Vermont was chasing a natty. Personal success.
Yes. I think his skills translate no matter what system he's in. But I think Furch built a team around him that elevated his game and allowed him to elevate those around him.
Yeah.
And that plays into the point I'm making that this was a team of teams. This year again, it's almost the right things happened at the right time to benefit Western. And Northern Michigan, their coach leaves late in the year or in the summer and opens a wave of players. Grant and Hampton Slukinski, they're looking for a spot where they can play together. Western provides them that opportunity. Cam has already said he's coming back, and he takes on the role of a mentor and shows it doesn't affect his game at all. In fact, it stepped his game up.
Yeah. And I think that story that he asked for Hammer's phone number right when he found out he committed, I think that story is really cool and just speaks of who Camero is as a leader.
Yeah,
it's awesome
for sure. I mean, that alone is worth a captaincy. Robbie Drasner comes in from being miserable at Miami and really helped solidify a defense that had some holes the last couple years into one that held damn near every team to under 25 shots on goal every game this year. It was stupid what that defense did this year and really helped out the goalies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you look at that semifinal game against Denver. They had 13 shots through 2 periods or something?
No, they didn't. No, I think they ended. Well, no, they had 8 through 2 periods or something. They had all their shots.
They had 9 because they were just short of 10.
Okay.
Yeah, they got all their shots 9. In the 3rd period.
Yep.
But no, it was just a team from top to bottom. There weren't. I mean, there's guys who built their name. Ty Henricks comes in late or started stepping up late in the season. Has a big second half of the year in a big national tournament push. Nearing had a great second half of the year. This team seems like it's built to continue this success, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that was the biggest difference between Western and Denver and Boston University was you look at like Denver and specifically, Zeev William played what 45 minutes in that game.
I think it was 56.
Yeah, it was
58.
like close to I
something
mean,
crazy.
he played the entire game.
Yeah, I think what they said is like if it had been just his time would have equated to like 40 minutes of like a regular 60-minute game or something.
Yeah.
Like
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that top line basically was Denver's team.
Yeah.
Versus Western just doesn't care who is out on the ice. They're just going to play the entire roster, you know?
Right. And I kind of want to go back to your question, Jackson, about bump. I haven't seen Vermont play very much to know their style play. Yes, Alex has the talent, but for me personally, I don't know if I could say he would have the same personal success based off of that team, not knowing how they play. It's not taking away from him as a player, but you look at an Isaac Howard, and he was huge here at UMD, but now he goes to Michigan State and he wins the Hobie. Like you don't know how that style plays. They could be, you could know they're a super good player or
right, and you could say the same about Costantini. I didn't watch him much at Nodak, but you look at his stats and when he gets to Western, he elevates his game. I agree with that.
But then like Person goes from Miami to North Dakota. We all knew he was a stud. And then he goes to North Dakota, even though he gets a brand new defensive core, and we're like, how's this gonna go? He still did really well there.
Yeah. Right, I'm gonna ask you guys one last question, then we're gonna wrap this bad boy up because we've been going for an hour and a half. And then Mike,
I got two more.
Mike has two more questions for you after that. But walk me through from the moment Michael scores the empty netter to the end of the game. And so from Michael's takes possession of the puck, and it's an open net in front of him. What goes through your brain, and then watching him jump into the bench, because you know what? This year, we're going Selly of the year next year, Mike. We got to figure out the best Sellys from every weekend, and we're doing a Selly of the year. But nothing this year beats Mike's jumping into the bench after the empty net goal, knowing that he just secured the first national title for Western Michigan.
I don't even remember that puck going in the net. I didn't even watch it.
Yeah, we so with about 4 minutes left, we were up in 301. And with about 4 minutes left, I was like, all right, there's one thing I want. I want well, not this flag, but well, my buddy's flag is the same thing. I want that flag and the other RSO flag we have, registered student organization flag. I want those plastered on the board, so when they lift the trophy, it's in some pictures, and we could get some we could get a little following base. And we did. We got 200 followers on Instagram this after we won the championship. So anyway, TV timeout happens. I go, all right, e-board, we're going down. So we're run to the elevator. We get in the elevator. We go down and we're in the tunnel waiting, and there's 7 or 8 of us. I apologize to those who were affected by my actions, because the whole section came.
You're just trucking small children, huh?
The whole section came through the tunnel, and we're waiting. We're watching that goal happen from the tunnel, because I didn't want to get in anybody's view. I was making sure we were holding back. But then with 10 seconds left, there's no more holding back. It was, you were getting shoved down, and I think it was all right. Like, nobody got hurt to my knowledge. Nobody was frustrated with people in the way. I mean, it turned out okay, and it was a great celebration.
Yeah, dude, him flying over, like, he literally nearly clears the boards. I don't know if you guys have seen the picture of it.
I think he did.
His feet get so close.
Okay.
But no, dude, that's like the greatest moment ever. I'm like literally ugly crying in the middle of the Detroit airport because I had just gotten off the plane and I had watched the game on the plane. But actually, I have one more question. I just remembered while you were talking about that because it made me think of the boys from Barstool. So how do we get the Barstool boys to show up to Lawson and or Pat McAfee next year? Because both of them seem to be interested in the new building, but I think they need to experience Lawson in one of the next 2 seasons before we move downtown to really get that full Lunatic experience.
Yeah, so I got to talk to Mike Cunelli. I think he really wants to make the trip. And their comment about us being ants in St. Louis was kind of funny and kind of prompted. I talked to Dan. I was like, we need to make this happen. They need to get to Lawson. I had Chat GPT make this one.
That's a little too bright, but
it's an ant holding the national championship trophy.
There you go.
So yeah, I think they could realistically come. Pat McAfee, we might need to push a little bit. But as long as we keep sending him Twitter messages, I think he'll.
Hey, I'm trying to do my part because literally when What's His Face came out with the, I offer an apology or whatever. I'm like, hey, a real apology would be showing up at Lawson next year. Like, make that a thing. And then I threw out the McAfee one. I was like, hey, look, you're going to be at game day. Game day is going to be in Ann Arbor in the next 2 years. Like, it's not that it's a less of a drive from Ann Arbor here than it is from Indianapolis. It's about a 4-hour drive from Indy.
And
I get that you're the most. I know that you're the busiest human in sports during the fall, but I think you can figure out a trip from Ann Arbor to Lawson Ice Arena. Because that dude's energy in the Lawson Lunatics, the place would explode.
Yeah. I think they would sell the place out of booze if he was there. And there would be so much. It would be like the party with the hockey players going to the restroom. A lot of people would be doing that. But
I think that Spittin' Chicklets with Grinelli, I think they need to do a 2-parter. And then they need to come to Lawson and experience Western when we're at Lawson. And I think we need to come back when we have the new arena and do an episode of Chicklets U.
Fleury and Net for the last time.
And then
regular season. They put them in for
put them both together,
Yeah, I mean, for sure. But you look at again, I go back to this point.
Overtime, son of a
bitch. Western Michigan, no NIL money spent bringing players in for this year. They constantly talk about how great the new arena is going to be with the facilities that they're putting in there. But they come from a building built in the 70s with limited amenities.
Nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
It has nothing.
There's a golf simulator. There's a golf simulator. I've seen
no.
I've seen the golf holes in this.
It has a golf simulator, Jackson.
But they built a national champion in a building that people hate going to 5 out of 7 days a week during the season.
That building is a hallway.
Yeah.
And 6 locker rooms, and then the team locker room, and that's it.
The only good time that building has is when it's game time. So come and see where this team was legitimately built and what it took to win a national title out of Western Michigan in the next 2 years, and then see what they get when they go to the new building. Like, there better be some sort of documentary, whether it's done by Western Video Production or we get ECH in here to do it, or the Barstool boys.
Yeah,
somebody needs to be documenting this.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to text James Murray, tell him to set that up.
Because James knows.
Lunatics can do it.
Yeah, or make it a video project for the Lunatics. But legit, that story should be told. The fact that Western did something more incredible than most people will realize, both because of the team that they built and how they built it with the resources they have. All right, Mike, finish this up here.
Well, I was just gonna say quickly, if they're gonna do a little ESPN thing on the hockey hair in Minnesota for the high school tournament, something can be done for the Lunatics. But two things. One is more of a criticism kind of to Wes, but to you as a student organization. And then the other is a question. When I was in Fargo against UMass, I walked by a couple guys that claimed they went to Western. I asked them if they knew who the painted Bronco was. They looked at me so confused, and I'm holding up a picture of Wes's face in the corner as the guys were warming up. So, what do you need to do to get these students to know who this doofus is?
Well, he won't come into the student section. I've told him many times to come into the student section, start some chants, and get loud, and he won't do it. So,
yeah, I got loud at the GLI. Let's not.
But you gotta get in the student section. That'll really get them going.
So, but you guys got to educate. As the president, you have to educate. Because I mean, I went through a drive-through with this man with his face painted. So
I think that issue will be fixed with the new building. I'm hearing that there is going to be some special things for the Lunatics.
Maybe we can just for West too.
Maybe we can get some historical.
I might need
education in there.
Prices for tickets go much higher. Now
just,
I gotta pay national championship prices.
Build a statue for him. But the other question is, what was your guys' first reaction seeing his stupid painted face for the first time? Because I love hearing these reactions from people. So when the first time you saw him, what was your thought?
I'm gonna let Jackson go first.
I thought he was dressing up as Kiss. I go, why is that guy dressed up as Kiss? Because I think at the time you were, it was still black and gold instead of brown, right?
So back when Western wore more black and gold than brown and gold, I did half and half. So half of it was brown, half of it was black, because I wanted to use the actual colors of the university, and it kind of bugged me that we didn't use them. So yeah, I did black.
So you like brown and gold better than black and gold?
Yes, because brown and gold are our actual school colors. Yeah, listen. I'll tell anybody this. My problem has never been the fact that they wanted to reduce the number of colors on the logo. They wanted to change the way the Bronco faced. I didn't give a shit about any of that. My issue was the circle W and the words at center ice. Those were the only things I ever had a problem with. You can make that horse face whatever way you want. I don't care. And personally, I think the horse should always face forward. It should never be backwards on any piece of clothing or anywhere that they put it. It should always face forward, whether that's left or right.
My issue is this logo. The one with the yellow frosted tips.
See, again,
people call that the Pokemon logo.
You can
call no, you're stealing my words. You're stealing my words.
See, I might make some unpleasant people here. I didn't mind that logo because that logo looked the closest to my face paint.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
Because I have gold highlights right next to the brown in some of the spots. So I was like, oh shit, dog, that looks like my face paint. Let's go. I'll rock that one. But
I mean, this one's great. I like the gold outlines the best.
I've had a right facing Bronco longer than anybody. So I don't care which way it faces. It should face forward though. And for everyone who's facing or who's like, but it should face west. First of all, here, let's have a real discussion about this. We're Western Michigan University. We're already in the West. All of our enemies are coming from the East, so it should face to the East anyway. Why am I running? Why am I running back?
I like that.
Why am I running back to my base? No, we're attacking. We're running forward. Also, left is only west if you're facing north.
Yeah. So, little fun fact, actually. They had 3 Western Michigan logos on the ice, 3 different logos over in St. Louis. The first one was that one that we call the Pokemon logo. And then they changed it to the new one. But the new one has a little detail most people don't see. And that's this little white line under the mane.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be connected.
Yep.
To the brown there, and it was originally on the ice, and then they changed it.
So they had to change it twice.
They had to change it twice. So
actually,
look at Dan getting shit done.
Yeah, I like it. I like it.
It might be a story for another episode of the pod, but I have the backstory on that fix.
So, but yeah, that is my take on the logos. I never gave a shit that it faced left, right, or up, down. I don't care. I hated the words at center ice, and I hated the circle W, and I hated their reasoning for saying why they spelled out Western Michigan at center ice.
What was their reason?
So you could tell what university it was. We didn't want to get it confused with any other W's. Like, yeah, you fucking retard. Maybe you shouldn't make the logo just a W then. I don't know. Oh, there's your whole process blown out of the water.
I thought you were the Washington Commanders.
No. Originally when they switched center ice, what had happened was they put the W at center ice, and then they went, "Oh, it kind of looks like Minnesota."
Yeah.
Was it a giant W originally?
Yeah, it was the whole circle was a W.
Yeah, that might tell you that your logo is stupid and you shouldn't mess with it the way it was.
Well, it looks like Minnesota if you're looking at it from one way, but
yeah, from the student section.
Yeah. Whatever. I mean, I'm glad that we've moved on from that to some degree. And
oh, hey.
It's been
all right.
Oh yeah, I'll
keep my story short here.
Wild win.
But the first time I recognized West, because I actually had never recognized him before, was at Michigan State for the GLI. Had no idea who he was before that. Then all of a sudden, we go down to the front row to just take a picture at this GLI, and Wes is standing right there, and I'm like, "That's Fan Bronco," and he's looking at me like, "Who is this clown?" So that was my first interaction. That was a interesting time.
So at least you had recognized who he was and didn't think he was like the fourth member of KISS at that point.
I think it would be the fifth member of KISS. I think there are 4 members of KISS.
Are there 4? Okay.
I think so. I
think we just
oldest
only know
one on
3.
the panel, so
by like a year.
Are you a KISS fan?
I don't mind KISS. KISS has some great songs.
So I guess a story could be said about my hat, but
no, the face paint is not based off KISS. I will tell you that it is based off the professional wrestler Sting, who is the greatest WCW wrestler of all time.
Gotcha. Whoa! Don't say that too loud around this university. Somebody else might take offense.
I'll fight him. I'll fight him for one of the 4 belts on the couch behind me. Wait, there's 4? No, there's 5 back there. My bad, 5 back there. But yeah, no. Let's wrap it up there. It was a good episode, celebrating the first of what should be a few national titles to come for Coach Ferschweiler and the boys.
And I think we'll win at least one more before we move to the new arena.
I hope so, dude. I hope that we get either one more national title or one more Frozen Face-Off win before we move to the new place.
100%.
Lawson is going to be the best atmosphere if they get a Frozen Face-Off finals.
I think we'll win the Penrose the last year at Lawson, 100%. So. You could put the Goon Squad in. I think we'll still win the Penrose that year. That's fine.
All right. Any other final thoughts, departing words, messages?
I would say that if you're into hockey and you want to learn about the NCHC, I think you should subscribe to this podcast because it's a great podcast.
Great plug.
And if you want to be good at hockey, you think you should be like Owen Michaels and put pucks on net.
Because good things happen, like Go Horns and Fight Songs. I appreciate the setup there, boys.
Give the pod 5 stars. It's a good listen. Appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you being on for sure.
Sorry, I was a little bit tardy.
Nah, it's all good. We're not professional at all here. We kind of pretend to be, and then it doesn't work out. So whatever. But yeah, there's some YouTube stuff you could do if you want to. It's down there. Do it. Sure, whatever. Don't
Do it.
We did the slogan. Check out Lost and Lunatics on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok. They're everywhere. If you're gonna talk shit about them, at least come to Lawson and see them in their natural habitat before doing so, because as everyone has come to know, it is the best student section in college hockey, and they get announced that way every game. And they rock from first puck drop to the last horn. So I couldn't be prouder to be an alum of both that student section and the university right now. So thanks again, boys. But we're out of here. Have a good one.